after the last one. But I always like for you to see the Space Needle and the Alamo Dome in the back. And I could have discussed somewhat of the Comey testimony and all. And if I talked today, it was going to be Acts 15, but I'll probably do that next Thursday. The only thing that might pertain to some of the discussion would be all of the leadership in Acts 15, they have to come to a judgment. And Jerusalem and the main church in the book of Acts, which is the Jerusalem church, they had a disagreement with what was, it says, thank God. I just saw that. And so then they listened to all sides. James himself, one of the lead apostles at Jerusalem, they listened to Peter the apostle, they listened to Paul and Barnabas, and they come to a decision. James actually quotes a good verse out of the book of Amos. It says, we've listened to all of the sides of the particular debate in Acts 15, whether the Gentiles should be circumcised and obey the law, and then they make a compromise decision. Today, I forget the county San Antonio is in. Maybe it's called Bexar County. But I wanted you to see, I drove, 125 miles up here. But yet, the county I left, which you hear me talk about all the time, Nueces, why is it ranked number 2 most corrupt in the United States? Why were there 165 ICE arrests there in the city? But yet, Houston had like 50, which is the crime in Houston and the population are much higher. So all of that shows you, if we just looked at everything that you hear me discuss, the change in leadership. Today I spoke honestly about Judge Sandra Watts, and I explained to you, I just so happened to be blessed to have that experience, and then to say, once it's spoken about, once it's documented honestly like it was today, then you could shine light and say that woman obviously is not fit to hold that office anymore. Because you saw some simple judgments that she made, and instead of acknowledging that she made a mistake, forgot that she told everyone in that jury room, one of you will not be back, or bailiff said, you won't have to come back this afternoon. And not only was that mistake, you didn't arrest for something like that. And then when it was brought to your attention by me, and all of that, out of the retaliation, you gave me a fine. Now, that's just an example of Miss Sandra Watts not being qualified to hold that judgeship anymore. She's had it for too long. But it's also an example that if you want, this county is not ranked it's not ranked, no other Texas county is ranked corrupt. The number 1 county was Dade County, Florida. Number 2 in the whole US of A was Nueces County. It still is to this day, as far as I know. So, how do we change that? Judge Nanette Hassett is a good judge. I believe she's married to Terry Shamsi, which is a defense lawyer, but she exposed a lot of the corruption, the hiding of testimony, threatening witnesses, all of that. That was known for many years in the Nueces County Courthouse. Judge Guy Williams and Judge Nanette Hassett finally spoke about it in their courts. And you had officers pleading the fifth in Judge Guy Williams' court on cases because they realized some judges wouldn't toe the line. Now, Guy Williams, I found it interesting, they're investigating him about a road rage incident. And I had said previously, before this happened, I said, I wonder if they'll target Judge Williams, because some of the judges and all don't go along with the corruption, but others will. And so if you want that to change, that we could be like a county like Bexar, then those that have been at the top there for a long time need to be removed. I don't know if Judge Louis Neal spoke to Ms. Watts. They all are kind of like a little couple group over there. but maybe he did today. But an illegal arrest like that, putting the life of the kid that was under our care at risk because she had no idea whether that child, anybody would be there. I was supposed to be there when the bus dropped him. That's just shining light. That's just one thing. I'm not endorsing anybody else for oh, here comes the train. I'm not endorsing anybody else for the 117th District Court. But like I mentioned about the book of James, the apostles and all, they make judgments. Paul the apostle said to the Corinthians, is there not a wise person among you that can make the judgment? Instead, they were going to the official Roman courts and the court system when they had disagreements. I could have had a civil suit for an illegal arrest in the case I showed you, the one talking about today. That was totally uncalled for, what she did. But at least we'll hold her accountable now, because the re-election is now. She wants to be judge again, and she's out of her God-ordained role. I'll tell you that much. That woman is out, not in her God-ordained role, because she's acted unjustly, which I showed you today. Some women, I'm sure, I just commended Judge Nanette Hassan. Okay? Trying to get you the view. So today, that's what we focused on. I could have got into the Comey testimony and everything else. But no, we stick with this local issue. The other thing is, we should have a voice in things that matter. If it's possible that the local people in charge were aware that this was actual testimony from the friend of the girl who accused the mechanic, saying, no, we all know she's lying. They said, yeah, but that's not our job. Our job is to get the conviction. And even if it's possible that the girl had given that testimony, Skirka might have withheld that testimony. Meaning they weren't doing truth in some of these things. They were basically seeing, like, just get convictions or whatever. So today, this is a nice city here. I come up here quite a lot. And it'll be a very long time before Nueces County can correct some of them. John, do you ever get targeted with yes. Some of you are aware of that. The things that upset me is when my children were targeted, which I've spoken about. Those of you that are new, all this has been documented. So I can't recommend people actually at this time locating to Corpus Christi. You'd have to have, it'll probably take a long time before people that have been involved, if a judge is involved in illegal activity, some of the other things I've spoken about, they don't quietly say, oh, well, I guess I'm caught. No. They use all their time and energy, like any other person that would be corrupt, to say, we have to eliminate the threat. In some of the other cases, I'm sure Ms. Watts would not. This is probably the first, if she ever even hears, I'll title this whole post like Judge Watts or something like that, so maybe she'll get to see it. But true testimony, it is telling truth. It's not how many, like a game of checkers. Well, we know if this particular thing is the mechanic case or whatever. We know it's not true, but we might have enough points to win anyway. That's not justice. You disgrace that courthouse. Other cities and other counties, when things like that come to light. Judge Nanette Hassan and Guy Williams said publicly from their courtrooms this last few years, you continue speaking to the prosecutor's office, DAs, and those that are in charge there, saying you continually have violated law. You can over and over, and we can't stop it. And Judge Guy Williams even recommended to the Rosas case, said, all I can tell you is maybe you can do a civil suit against Mark Skirka because we cannot stop the criminality within our courts. That was Judge Williams' words to that effect. But he did recommend one of the victims of the crimes committed through law enforcement and others, he recommended civil suit. It's astounding. And don't ever think that that's not corrected. you would need a clearing out of the ones that have been there for a long time, because they colluded with Mr. Skorka. They colluded with a lot of the things you hear me talk about. And they knew that was going on. So today we'll end this. At least you got to see a nice little view, and thank God, and God bless everybody.